Hi everyone. So this is my first attempt at using iMovie to condense my videos to make a little short video, I guess. Here you can see that I've got my rock set up. I've prepped up to have a black background. The paints I'm using are the golden heavy body acrylics. And here I'm starting off with my sunflower and then also the location of where the dragonflies are going to be. I'm doing a quick sketch just so that I have an idea of where everything's going to be placed and so that I do not run out of rock. I hate when I start drawing something, start painting something, and then I end up running out of space, and now my subject's running off of the rock, or it doesn't get completed. So I am starting off with the yellow and mixed with the white a little bit. I don't want it to be too bright of a yellow. I want it to have a paleness to it. Right here I am painting the petals for the sunflower. I'm adding a little bit of the cadmium red to my yellow and my white. The palette I'm using is a Stay Wet palette. It has a sponge underneath that paper. That's a special paper that's sewed by Stay Wet. It just helps to lengthen the usability of your paints so that it doesn't dry out as fast. So I'm just starting off with that first layer, and I'm going to keep adding layers as I go. And then once it's done, I'll go back in to define the individual petals. I like having this little turntable. I bought it off of Amazon. It was like, I want to say $7 or so after tax. Just a little bitty one. Helps in keeping the rock on there and being able to spin it around. Before I'd either hold it in my hand or I'd have to just keep turning that rock around to get what I'm doing. It's been nice to have that to do the sunflower. That way I could just spin it around and do the petals in one direction. It's been easier. So you can see here for the middle part, I was just using more of a stippling motion with my paintbrush. And once I had that down, I went back in to kind of bring out the strokes and smooth it out, blend it out a little. Here I'm going in with the lighter yellow to kind of give a definition on the edge of the petal. Just using a really light stroke here. Not too much paint on the paintbrush. I don't want to have like thick blobs of paint on the rock. So there you can see clearly the inspiration that I'm using for this rock. I'm starting on the dragonfly right here. I like to get a good base coat down, and then once that's there and that's how I want it, I go back in to add in my details. And do keep in mind, I am an amateur at this, um, creating videos and stuff. Hopefully, in time, I'll get better at merging my clips, and my transitions can look more appealing. I guess right now I know it's kind of choppy. I am open to taking any advice. Anyone that wants to message me to help me out, I would so appreciate it. I'm so bad at technology stuff. Something I do when I'm working on a black background like this, and it can be with anything really, but um, I'm not too particular on having what I'm painted being perfect, because I know that I can go back in there with black and then clean up the lines to have it straighter or to be more clear. So don't be too critical on getting that wing perfect, because you can always go back in there to shape it with black. Right here, I took a paintbrush that I'd cut up kind of short, and I call it a smudger. But I just applied a little paint onto the tip, onto the paintbrush. I wiped some off, and then I went over that part, and I just lightly brushed over it to get that a little darker blend in there. So for the dragonflies, I wanted to have a bit of a glow around it. I'm using the same brush, my smudging brush. I'm just putting a little paint on there. I'm wiping it off onto like a paper towel or a towel, and then I just go around the edge and lightly in circles, kind of, just lightly brush around it to kind of give it this glowing look. Even if it seems like it's a little bit too much now, I'll go back in again, and then I'll clean it up with some black to take the glow down so that it's not looking like it's just this white haze right there. So here you can see I do go back in with the black, and I'm putting a little bit of black onto the brush. I'm wiping the excess off, and I'm just going in there around the glow, and I'm taking it down a notch. So I have the glow to where I want it, Right now I'm gonna start on the details within the wings. I'm using a brownish color. I've added a little bit of water to it so that it's a little bit running, so that I can then fill in the details and not have it be too defined of a line. I want to have it kind of like a watercolor look to it. I'm using this little tiny brush that I got off of Amazon. It's just those little eye defining eyeliners, I guess. So I'm just gonna paint all the wings like this. Keep in mind, it doesn't matter. You don't have to stick to any design really. I'm just kind of doing whatever, putting in some line designs in there. Just outlining it a little bit so it doesn't really blur into the haze, the glow that I've put around it. Just touching it up, putting little bits of details in there. So you can see here the lines are too dark to my liking. I'm going to add a watered down white over it, and it's just going to be a wet style painting. It's going to be um, like a little puddle of water over the wings, and then I'll just let it dry like that. That way it kind of what is the word I'm trying to find? It softens the lines. It makes it kind of translucent. Once it's done drying, you'll see that layer of white over it, but then you'll also see the lines that are still underneath it. It gives it a delicate look, I guess. When I'm done with this, I'll show you at an angle that you can actually still see the layer of water that's floating on top of that. While working on this, if you feel like you've put too much on, take a brush, a dry brush, and just kind of tap on there to soak up that extra liquid. So you can see here there's a thin layer of water that's floating on top. And that's what I'm intending, so that when it dries, it'll have like a veil, a thin veil over that, and you'll still see the lines underneath. I'm gonna go ahead and work on the other dragonflies, and here you see that they're all done here. I pretty much did the same thing with these. So for my wings, I will be using Folk Art Dragonfly Glaze. The one I chose is the Gold Red Violet Shift. When applied, it looks like it's glue. It's got like a milky white texture to it. But once it dries clear, and then the glitter will show through at that point. This is another color that they have. And then this one is the full spectrum. It has all the colors of the rainbow. So right here, it's about dried. I'm showing you in the light what it looks like. It's got that sheen of glitter. And at different angles, you'll see a different sheen. It's got like that purplish color, a gold color. And it doesn't take away from the details of the wings. That's what I like about this Dragonfly Glaze. It's very subtle. It's only very apparent when the light hits it. All right, so here comes the scary part. I'm really bad with my lettering. I've been meaning to practice my calligraphy, writing, anything to get better, but I just cannot find the time to do so, and I always forget until I do a project that requires writing. Then now I'm like freaking out. Luckily with this one, even if I mess up, I can just go back in with black and black out the whole thing and then go back in and try writing it again. So I'm just gonna freehand this. I am looking at the writing that's on the inspiration picture. I'm just gonna give it a shot and see how it goes. The brush I'm using was a gift from a friend. It's a nail art brush. I do apologize that my camera wasn't at a better angle to capture the writing. I had it all set up and I didn't want to move my iPad anymore. It's actually recorded on my iPad Pro. So here you can see that my R was a little thick. Once I'm done, I'm going to go back in with black and then I'm going to clean it up and smooth out the lines. And then where the white's not really apparent, I'm going to go in and add more to it too. And the color really, it's not 100% white. I did add a little bit of yellow to it, so it's really, really pale yellow actually. I felt if I did just completely white, it would stand out too much. It wouldn't complement the colors of the rest of the subject matters. If it helps, you can trace on the lettering. You can, do anything you need to do to make it come out how you like it. Not bad, I thought. This was my second attempt. I did have a prior attempt that I had blacked out because I didn't like how my word was coming out for the word walk. It wasn't looking good, so I had blacked it out, and then this is my second attempt. So here I'm just going back in and doing some cleanup work, blacking out what I need to, adding more color where I need it. All right, so now I'm gonna add the splatter of white to the background. Well, it's gonna go everywhere kind of, but I'm using an old stiff brush. I'm just gonna test it out on that rock that I had just shown. Um, and I'm just gonna give it a shot. Keep in mind, same thing, even if some of the splatter doesn't look like how you want it to look, you can always just go back in and clean it up with the black brush. Here you can see I have some that were kind of streaky in that middle part, and then right here coming up, there was a big old gunk of paint that shot out right there. It's no biggie. I went back in and cleaned it up. So here's the finished rock. I had a lot of fun painting this. It turned out quite beautifully, I think. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and like my YouTube channel. Once again, it's Rock Art Nang, and this is Nang Her. Thank you for watching.